Welcome to another Music Maker guitar video. Today I wanted to talk about some more chords because I just love chord progressions. I had so much fun on Friday, on Funk Friday, doing that Earth, Wind and Fire one. And I just really love this Beatles song, Fixing a Hole. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to stick up the chords right now. Go ahead and screenshot it if you would like, you know, the full chord chart and analysis right here. Excellent. Alright, I'm going to try and keep this in the corner too as much as I can. But let's go through these chords. Basically, it's in the key of D. Start with a D chord. And I like this one. It's D major triad. It's basically like if you take this C chord, you know, your open C, maybe play it with a different fingering so you don't need your first finger. That's a start. Then you can move everything up 2 frets, and I mean, you can bar down and get a couple of different notes, but really you only need the note on the 3rd string. You can do like, just bar a couple of strings and get that too. I really like doing this sometimes. Just let go of the first finger on this chord voicing. Pretty kind of open chord sound, but anyways, that's the first chord in the tune. Root, 3rd, 5th, root. These shapes are in my packet. If you are interested, just go to the website and check that out. There's the first one. Second one, A augmented. Again, I think I've talked a little bit about augmented chords before. I find them to be kind of a weird, unstable sounding chord, but I think they work great, just how the Beatles used it right here. It's kind of over the 5 chord. So instead of like 5/7, you have 5 augmented. Alright, then back to a D chord. Then D with C in the bass. That's like a D7, but like C in the bass, right? Then it's like a G chord. Take the G out of the bass. Right? So we have then D minor. I like D minor 7 bar chord if I'm just playing the chords. If you're going down the bar chord, what's really cool is you get the melody a little bit. You can do like a D minor, regular D minor, and then for the last note, just let go of your pinky so you get a D minor 7. And then G7, you know, so for D minor, I'm doing this bar chord, 5, 7, 5, 6, 5. And then sometimes, depending on what you want, right? You can add your pinky there on the 3rd string, on the 7th fret, or you can do the 8th fret. Like that kind of too. I like both of those. So that's, you can see on my analysis I wrote here kind of like what all your D's and D minors are, and what all the A's and A7s and A augmenteds are, and what all the G's and G7s and G over B's are, and later what your E's are. But that's kind of like, that's like the full section. You just kind of like, you're sitting on the 1 chord and the 5 chord, or some variation of those, going through all of those chords until you land on D minor. Which is a very, I find that to be kind of like a Dorian chord progression. It's like 1 minor 7, and then if you look at G7, that's your 4/7 chord, which is basically like, I don't know if you're comparing to other things, that's like your Santana, Oye Como Va chord progression. Right, like all those licks are kind of like in that Dorian thing. This is just in the key of D minor instead of A minor. I can play that same thing. Right, you can do all that stuff there. But that's, I think, less important. More important, the chords of D minor 7 and then a G7. Then that section repeats. So 1, 5, 1, 7. I kind of count that as 7 because that's like in the melody, the 7th. Then maybe like a minor because I have an F in there. It sounds kind of like D minor-ish by the time you get to that point in the chord progression. But I think that's kind of like what's cool about this song. It's like kind of ambiguous, like it's like happy when it starts, and then it's like there's a D minor in my 1 chord, like what's that about? I guess I have a hole that I have to fix somewhere in my song. It sounds really good like that. I like having it like flex a little bit between the major and the minor. So that said, that's like the A section. Then B section, it's basically just like root and 5th for the first like 4, what is that? 4 bars. 1, 5, 1, then 5 chord. Now, E here. If you're in the key of D, let's count through the letters. D is 1, E would be 2, correct? But in this key, if I were to do this, like root, 3rd, 5th, 2nd chord, 2, 4, 6, E would be like a minor chord, not a 7 chord like that, right? So it's not really in the key of D minor, or major. Let's see if it's in the key of D Dorian. So like D Dorian would be like D minor and then E minor. So still also not like E7. So why the heck is there a D in E7 in here? The reason why is because this chord is the coolest, most interesting chord you could possibly pit over this part, okay? And the Beatles knew that. So here's what's going on. It's a the way we analyze it, like in Berkeley, is like if you think of A, the 5th, as a destination, right? Then you kind of are gonna momentarily, the process is to like think of the song momentarily in the key of A instead of the key of D. And if you think in that mentality, then E becomes your 5th. So if you do like a 5 chord of A, then A is the 5 chord of your song. You can have this whole like string of 5 chords that lead back and forth from each other. So this is used a lot of the time like as a compositional tool for a lot of people. Is like, okay, I want the end of my B section or my C section to end on the 5th. So like, what's a 5th from the 5th? Okay, we'll do a 5 of a 5. And you can do a 5 of a 5 of a 5 and a 5 of a 5 of a 5. Like rhythm changes does like a sequence of 5s basically to resolve. You know, they're in B flat and then they go D7, G7, 5th, 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 resolving to the 5th in B flat, and now we're back home. So it's really kind of like a brilliant tool because it's actually just so simple of an idea, but it's just one of those things like as writers a lot of the time we don't think to do that kind of a thing because we're thinking in the key of D. But this is a really great tool if you're writing to just like use a second, we call it a secondary dominant. So you can be like a secondary dominant or a secondary dominant of a secondary dominant. You know, you can just continue that string until it fits to where your song needs to go. And usually I don't think most people need more than 4 turnarounds or something, but I don't know, you could get crazy with it. Why not, right? Anyways, that's why that's there. So like, right? Like, so that leads us really just nicely back. So that's what the chords are. If you're into it, I would see if you can just kind of strum through them, you know? You can do this like D minor like that too. G7, open. I did that chord, but that's D. Yeah, I think I did. Just putting a C on the bottom. Sometimes what I like to do is this. So I have some open strings in there, so it's like C, D, A, D. So it's like this kind of like power bar chord with D in there. You can do some like hammer-ons and stuff in there. Stuff with that, but that said, I'll leave it up to you to be artistic and creative with that stuff. I hope this was really helpful for you. If you're interested in maybe going over the melody sometime, let me know. I'd love to do that maybe in another video, or I don't know, leave me a comment, subscribe to the channel, check out my website if you want a further in-depth lesson, or if you want to learn ear training or something like that. I have all kinds of videos like that up there. So I will see you guys next time, and have a great Monday, and thanks for tuning in.